Hi, this is Sally Book Club. Tune in daily as we explore the world's greatest books for you. Today we're diving into the book titled The Books Are Finished Reading. Author Jim Kemu, a renowned Chinese literary scholar, translator, and expert in Sanskrit studies and Indian culture. Indian culture and Sanskrit are notoriously complex, but he was among the rare few who truly mastered them. He formed Peking University's Three Pens Trio with Jishan Lin and Chen Yulan, co-mentoring China's first generation of Sanskrit scholars. Remarkably, this university professor only had elementary school credentials. His erudition came from library self-study, even mastering Latin through just a dictionary and Caesar's Gallic Wars. Liang Wendao highly praised this achievement. He said only someone like Jin could authoritatively present the books are finished reading. Also, the first book Liang recommended on Phoenix TV's 8 Minutes reading program. The book opens with an intriguing anecdote. When young historian Chen Yinghui visited elder historian Xia Zhengyu, Xia remarked, "You reading foreign books is good. I only read Chinese books, and I've finished them all." Chen initially thought the elder scholar senile. How could China's vast classics ever be finished? But upon reaching old age himself, Chen came to understand Xia's perspective. China's classics, though voluminous, can be categorized into mere dozens of essential texts, which this book collects Jin's essays about. Here, the author distills lifelong experience into methods for completing readings. These methods apply equally to Chinese classics and foreign texts, offering structure for knowledge-anxious modern readers. The book has 3 parts. Chapter 1, The Books Are Finished Reading, establishes the thesis. Using Chinese classics as examples, the author demonstrates that, though books seem innumerable, their content remains finite, with only limited essential works. Chapter 2, Sherlock Holmes and the Art of Comprehensive Reading, presents methodology. Through concrete examples, the author teaches reading techniques spanning Eastern and Western classics, ancient to modern. This section forms the book's core content and occupies the most page space. Chapter 3, Reading Texts, Reading People, Reading Things, expands the theory, discussing how to synthesize knowledge into personal frameworks after completing essential readings. Now let's explore, chapter by chapter, how Jim Kemu advises us to first accept the impossibility of reading everything. Therefore, we must filter and categorize books systematically. Every culture has foundational texts that establish its intellectual bedrock. Subsequent developments are variations and critiques rooted in these classics, different branches from the same trunk. These essential texts demand our focused study. In single quote, tracing traditional thought through documents, Jim Kemu already mapped China's classical texts and identified must-reads. Let's start completing Chinese classics using this cultural framework. The author identifies 6 indispensable books for understanding traditional Chinese culture. First, the Book of Changes, Yi Jing, the core of Chinese thought and cultural DNA. Yi Jing operates like complex programming code containing China's entire philosophical spectrum. Second, Laozi's Dao De Jing, representing Chinese philosophy's practical application. TDHI refers to fundamental principles, the essence beneath surface phenomena. Yang Yun denotes practical utility, the manifested applications. Jin posits Yi Jing as Ti and Laozi as Yang, dual pillars of Chinese thought. Third, the Book of Documents, Shangshu, imperial archives containing governance principles across multiple domains. Fourth, the Spring and Autumn Annals, Lu states chronological records from 722 to 481 BCE. While Shangshu documents governance theories, the annals record historical events, concepts like royal authority permeating Chinese history. The 5th essential book is Mao's poetry, better known as the classic of poetry, Shijing. The Shijing comprises 3 sections: airs, feng, court hymns, ya, and odes, the latter 2 being aristocratic compositions. The air section contains folk ballads from Central Plains states. The poems most familiar from school textbooks, its sixth essential book, is the Analects of Confucius, meeting little introduction. It focuses more on personal ethics compared to previous texts. Jin summarizes Eugene as essence, Laozi as application, Shangshu recording ideologies, Annals documenting actions, Shijin expressing emotions, and Analects teaching principles. Thus completes China's cultural framework of essence-application, words-deeds, and reason-emotion. With the central texts identified, the next task is reading methodology. Jin proposes two key principles: different reading methods for different text levels, and extracting multiple layers from single texts. His categorization of reading postures proves particularly insightful. Some books demand kneeling reading, he observes. Sacred texts like Bible, Heart Sutra, or Quran require humble reverence from believers. Standing reading applies to authoritative texts demanding memorization, like Analects or Mencius. These permit no debate, only absorption. Sitting reading serves practical purposes, book study for exams or professional skills. This compulsory reading brings mixed pleasures. Lying reading suits literary works for leisure, skippable and enjoyable at will. Finally, walking reading involves dynamic dialogue with texts. These companion books reveal new depths with life experiences. Such texts remain lifelong friends, endlessly rewarding. How then do we read the same book at different levels? We should adopt the walking reading mindset mentioned earlier, engaging in dialogue with texts. Those 6 classic Chinese texts we discussed, though not lengthy, are notoriously difficult. Even recognizing all characters poses challenges, let alone dialoguing with them. So what should we do? The author advises approaching these texts with childlike innocence. Read through first without obsessing over details, using annotations to grasp general meaning. Most crucially, transcend the text's original framework. For instance, narrowly reading Analects as moral instruction misses its political dimension. Through dialogic reading, we recognize Confucius primarily as political thinker. Unlike Western philosophers, his ultimate goal was unified governance under virtuous rulers. To establish social principles, hierarchy, nobles greater than commoners, greater than families, greater than individuals, to achieve societal harmony. His true focus was ethics, not constructing philosophical systems. So how exactly do we achieve multi-layered reading? First, understand the contextual background, the book's intellectual threshold. Identify the author's intended audience. What was their social status, educational background? Like, not expecting university professors to teach middle school geometry. Assess the book's difficulty level before diving in. Jin illustrates this using Sartre's notoriously difficult Being and Nothingness. Its opening line, modern thought has realized considerable progress by reducing the existent to the series of appearances which manifest it. Continues, the aim is to overcome a series of dualisms which have embarrassed philosophy, and questions, has this attempt been successful? This opening sentence launches the book's thesis without preparatory context. Terms like being, phenomenon, monism, and dualism sound utterly alien to lay readers, yet these are philosophers' daily vocabulary. Sartre's terse phrases presuppose knowledge, from Husserl's phenomenology to Heidegger's existentialism, from Mach's analysis of sensations to Kant's critique of pure reason. Clearly, this philosophical background forms the book's threshold. Sartre wrote for readers already versed in these concepts. Why attempt reading it without this prerequisite knowledge? Thus, the difficulty lies not in the text itself, but readers' inadequate preparation. Second, reading between lines requires alternating emotional imagination and rational analysis of contextual knowledge. Classical Chinese poetry exemplifies this reading the unwritten. The author encourages overcoming poetry anxiety. You needn't be poet to appreciate verse, just as art requires no painter's license. Even lay readers should boldly engage with poetic imagery. He recommends the 19 old poems as ideal starting point. These refined folk style poems use plain language depicting universal emotions. Take Journeying On, familiar to many students. On and on we journey, forced apart while living. Abandoned, no more words, just eat well, stay strong. These sparse lines vividly portray a woman's longing for her absent lover. We imaginatively feel her resignation to time's passage. But how apply rational analysis to such emotional poetry? The author cites another example. Dao Chi's verse, "Snow fills the mountains where hermits repose. Moonlit woods welcome beauties to disclose." Compare this with Dream of Red Chamber's famous line, "Facing the mountain hermits crystal snow in vain, never forgetting the fairy maiden, lone in woods." Juxtaposing these reveals Cao Shuiken's adaptation of Gao Chi's imagery. Rational analysis unveils deeper connections. Jin observes that Bao Chai, marrying Bao Yu, mirrors snow-filled mountains with shui, homophonic with snow, while jade-bearing Dai Yu Lin corresponds to moonlit woods, Lin meaning forest. Such literary puzzles delight Chinese scholars. Poetic knowledge combined with rational analysis creates layered reading pleasure. Jin Kemu summarizes his method as less laziness, forgetfulness. Initially sounding self-deprecating, these three principles encapsulate reading wisdom. Less means selecting truly valuable books over quantity. Laziness advocates pleasure-driven reading over forced study. Forgetfulness acknowledges natural mental filtration, retaining only digested knowledge. No rote memorization. Essential texts reveal new insights upon rereading. What sticks through natural recall constitutes true gain. Remembering less lazy forget unlocks Jim's reading secrets. Finally, synthesize acquired knowledge into personal frameworks. Deepen worldly understanding through systematic organization. Cultural three typologies appears in The Books Are Finished Reading. Jin Kemu wrote this essay addressing contemporary scholars, cross-cultural comparisons in globalization contexts. Many university Chinese departments now offer comparative literature programs. Jin viewed such comparisons as globally anxious, either superiority from domestic perspectives or inferiority through foreign lenses, rarely achieving objectivity. After studying Western philosophy from Plato to Rousseau, Sanskrit classics, and Chinese texts, Jin synthesized three cultural paradigms from world history. He categorized world cultures into Type 1, Hebrew, Arabic, Type 2, Greek, Indian, Type 3, Chinese, Japanese. The Hebrew-Arabic type dominates Western discourse, serving as cultural benchmark. Key features: 1. Omnipotent creator God. 2. Original sin from ancestral disobedience. 3. Immortal souls surviving bodily death. 4. Messianic salvation through figures like Christ or Muhammad. 5. Concept of chosen people, Jews, Christians, or Muslims as God's elect. This monotheistic paradigm encompasses Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Contrastingly, the Greek-Indian type features polytheistic pluralism. Ancient Greek and Indian cultures lacked an omnipotent God, featuring instead multiple deities with human emotions, prioritizing earthly pleasures over inherent sin. These cultures emphasize liberation from suffering rather than original sin, akin to Buddhist pursuit of nirvana. Human suffering arises from inability to attain lasting joy, hence the quest for transcendence to Pure Land bliss. This paradigm encompasses Greek mythology and Indian religions like Hinduism and Buddhism. The Chinese-Japanese type contrasts both previous models through unique characteristics. China paradoxically maintains God without God, no creator deity, yet acknowledges cosmic order. Absent unified divinity, Chinese thought perceives fluid cosmic consciousness, gents emphasizing worldly consequences and social harmony over afterlife concerns. Unlike Abrahamic soul-bound humans or Greek autonomous individuals, Chinese-Japanese culture views humans as social beings shaped by Li, ritual propriety. The ideal Chinese archetype combines Confucian sagehood with Taoist transcendence. Neither chosen people nor heroic individuals, but perfected human exemplars like Confucius. This tripartite model positions Chinese-Japanese culture as distinct civilizational pole. Understanding cultural distinctions helps position Chinese traditions in global context. Summarizing Jim Kemu's reading methodology. First, contextualize readings within cultural history's developmental trajectory. The six essential Chinese texts exemplify this structural approach. Second, efficient reading requires two-phase comprehension, contextual groundwork, then textual analysis. Mastering threshold knowledge enables meaningful engagement with texts. Phase 2. Comprehending subtext through emotional intuition and rational analysis. Third, systematize acquired knowledge into personal frameworks to deepen worldly understanding. The books are finished reading embodies a wise scholar's meditations on literary practice. Jin famously stated, "Ineffective reading surpasses sleep not. Reading demands both diligence and methodology. May this book launch your intellectual journey." This concludes our exploration of The Books Are Finished Reading. Keynotes await below. Until next time.